So without further ado, I'm really happy about our, we asked Aaron Kalin to come in and help us open the conference. I can stand up here and say what DevOps is and all that kind of stuff. If you've been to any of the meetups in town, if you've been here last year, you've heard me do some of that before. And it gets kind of boring if it's just me. And Aaron's a wonderful human. He works for DN Simple remotely from Chicago, so he keeps a significant portion of internet traffic flowing to systems from across the world. So he knows what he's talking about, and he's been around the community for a really long time. So if we could give it up for Aaron Kalin, who's going to help introduce what DevOps does.
Oh, wow. Oh, my own booming voice. All right, so I took this morning because this is the Capitol building for the locals. You already know this. For those out of town, this is pretty much what I think about every time I come to Madison. And also, being from Chicago, I'm a bit of an architecture nerd, so I just love looking at that building. Even this morning, as I woke up way too early because I was that nervous about giving a keynote presentation to kind of start the conference, and I was like going crazy with Bridget last night. I was like, I've studied your talk from last year. I have no idea what I'm going to say. How do you even like explain to DevOps and all this other stuff? And she's like, just be yourself. And so that's what I'm going to do. So yes, as you said, I'm Aaron Kalin. I work for DN Simple. Yes, we do make the internet work. We're DNS because at the end of the day, it's always DNS, right? It's kind of a joke, right? It's usually that's what's broken in your router. You're trying to like get to Netflix and you can't because you can't actually find the address for it. So as you said, I work for DN Simple. We are a domain management automation company, as we call it. So we wrap DNS in a beautiful API that's easy to use. For the folks who use Chef for automation, we have a cookbook for that. If you've been using Terraform to do all of your stuff these days, we've been baked in since day one because we have that open API that anyone can use. So if you want to spin up a mail server cluster and have them set up those MX records immediately, you can do that. If you're really curious about it, come talk to me afterwards. I've also brought some cool t-shirts, so if you really like the shirt I'm wearing, I have a very limited amount of them, so swarm me after the talk and we can get those to you. I also have cute stickers too. So to introduce myself more, in case you don't know who I am, yes, that is me. The red hair is not a coincidence. I know we're coming up on Halloween, but I do this every day. I've had it long enough where it's on my passport, my driver's license and everything, so there's hot takes whenever I'm at border security. And they see that, yeah, hair color, brown, sure. So I go with my preferred pronouns are he and him. And you can say red is kind of my favorite color. If you follow me on Twitter, that's my handle up there, @MartiniSoft. You might also see me as this, so usually on Fridays I post Fursuit Friday pictures. That is me in Fursuit in Paris. My boss took that picture, and that is such a picturesque shot. Like, I really want to get it framed, because it was really, really pretty. So if you're curious about that too, we can chat about it over beers or drinks or coffee later, whichever. And so, let's get to the meat of the talk. Let's talk about DevOps history, okay? So, who here, so show of hands, because I'm going to try to look past the stage lights here. So show of hands, who knows what the term DevOps, or at least where it came from? Who knows, okay, that's a lot. All right, that's about half the audience, I want to say. Roughly half? Okay, cool. So I'm still going to go over it then. So back in 2008, Andrew Schaefer and Patrick Dubois sort of covened a very short open space thing, which we're going to be doing later today. So if you've never been to the DevOpsDays format, welcome to the deep end. It's actually really fun. So a lot of companies, especially traditional tech companies, had these concentric circles. They had developers, they had QA folks that would be like testing the things before it goes out. Then you have the operations folks that basically make it work, or as I jokingly call them sometimes, code janitors. Like those are the people just clean up after the devs sometimes, right? And usually they were kept separate from each other. And it was terrible, especially for customers on the receiving end of stuff, because if they don't really work together, then they can't really deliver stuff accurately and well, and then at the end of the day, the customer suffers, and then ultimately the business suffers, because if you have a company that comes in and is like, we can bring all these teams together to deliver something faster. That's why even like the startup paradigm today kind of caught a lot of established companies off guard, because they realize we don't need all the ceremony. We can just get these people together, and we can move so much faster than the competition because we can bring them all together to deliver something quickly. So that's the sort of idea of DevOps. It's like, let's go ahead and make a party in the middle with everyone. Like, even bring the managers in to talk about this, because it's more than just the tools you use, because I'm sure folks here are using stuff like Chef, Ansible, Puppet, just the names go on and on, Terraform these days, anything like HashiCorp. But it's not so much that you just use those tools. Of course you're automating, but it's the people who are automating it are the real thing that make that work, right? Because you can spin up servers, but at the end of the day, if you don't have the software to go into there, and your software hasn't been checked out by QA to make sure it works, right? Then your customers at the end of the day are going to suffer, then your business will suffer, then you just won't have a job. You're going to have to go find another gig, right? But I'm going to go farther back. I'm going to wind the clock back to the 90s, because this is what I like to call the sort of industrial age of tech, when tech was really, like, companies were realizing, oh, we need to and infrastructure and technology, right? So you remember the days of like the bastard operators from hell, BOFH, so if you have never heard that term, welcome to it. These people still exist. I think the hipster term for it now is neckbeard, right? Let's be like really derogatory about it. That was also back when you had like traditional IT, just like ransom mail servers and stuff like that. Or you might know a little bit of Perl scripting, it'd be dangerous to make that bind server work, right, to automate your DNS records. So this is back also in the heady days, like I said, those companies were like, we need to end technology. So here's $500,000, have fun. And companies like CDW are like, we can help you spend that. Right? And back then too, like there's those silos, like you saw in those concentric circles. They were all just kept away from each other on purpose. And this is like my most poetic slide of them all. Like, I love and hate this slide because it's way too real. But even back then too, like every one of those teams, even that QA person, that operations person, right? No one really knows what you do until something goes really, really wrong, right? How many people have given said hi to like the Netflix folks? Like if you app Netflix, like, hey, I watched Stranger Things, it worked, it was fantastic, right? No? A lot of people like, well, of course, like the reality is like, like, why can I not stream with Stranger Things right now? I hate life. Why are you guys ruining my life? Because I can't sit on my couch and watch Netflix. Because the DNS is down, right? And now to get like farther into like the whole keynoting thing, just keynote speakers, I guess, do is they like look out into the future, and I'm also going to kind of like help get your brains going for the open spaces stuff later. What about the future of DevOps? And the reason I got this data center thing up there is like, I think, and I'm just going to go ahead and use the buzzword because it's really fun, buzzwords are great, big data. I think big data can come to the table here. I think there's another ring there that's formed, but they should be in the table here because, like, so here, raise your hands too. This is more of your morning exercise, get that coffee going. So who here collects, like, in your company, you collect a lot of like metric or telemetry data? This should be all of you. If not, there's open space. Yeah, okay. If you did not raise your hand, there's probably an open space for you later today. Okay? Because you should be collecting that data. And if you're not, then the companies, your competitors that are already collecting this data in very large amounts, we're talking not just gigabytes or terabytes or petabytes, like beyond that too. Walmart, I believe, is one of the largest data warehousing companies in the world. They have every little bit of transaction data that's ever existed between all of the retail stores worldwide. And that's a lot of information, but how do you digest that? How do you leverage that? Like, why are you even storing it as a company? And then how can you leverage that to help those other teams? Like, can you actually give that information to help the developers? Can you do that for the operations folks? Like, is this something they did directly affect customers? I think the big data folks can be part of that table, so that's one of the things I see. And then I also want to see more diversity in tech. As a openly queer boy up here on stage, one of the, I think so far I've seen 2 colored hair folks here. Hi, Bridget. So I feel somewhat alone on stage. But when I say diversity too, and it's not like I'm trying to trigger some folks here with that. When I say diversity, I'm talking about not just gender, because that's definitely a thing. To look out in the audience too, it's hard to see the stage light sometimes. But gender is a thing for sure. Race is also a thing, right? Also skill level. Has anyone brought in an apprentice lately? Like, have you brought in, like, there you go, a couple of hands, 3, 4. All right, that's good. I want to see way more by next year. Or if not, then we should cover a whole open space about it, because I really, really care about that. Because I think skill level can also come in, like, especially someone who's brand new, they're going to question everything in your organization, because no matter how cool you think it is, or how awesome you think your DevOps is, they're going to come in and question that and actually put that into real practice. Because the longer you sat in something, the more you're not really going to realize all the little holes and gaps that you've left behind, stuff you didn't document right, because they're going to ask those questions. I think nationality is also a thing too. The company I work for, D and Simple, we're fully spread out around the world. There's 11 of us, but we're across 2 separate continents, and I think 5 different countries now. So there's a lot of us all over the place. We all bring a little bit of something different to the table. But there's more. There's way more different things that we can all intersect on. Intersectionality in tech is a huge thing. And if you want to talk more about that, we can cover an open space about it as well. You can chat about that afterwards, some of the stuff too. But on those notes, I want to say welcome to the conference and enjoy yourselves. Have fun at the open spaces later. Thank you very much.